funniest thing ever. You can drag a horse to the water to get a drink of water, but if he refuses or she refuses to drink the water, she will or he will die because they won't have water to drink. They won't have water to drink if they don't want to drink water. So they will become dehydrated and eventually die. No matter how hard you try to help them to drink water, if they don't want to do it, then they'll slowly get dehydrated and die, or they'll go back to their thing they were serpent on, or whatever they were doing that was milk or something that they drank instead. They didn't like water, and they didn't like water and they had milk instead. Okay, let's call it milk instead. So here's the thing. I can make any of you a star. Did you know that? My name's John Birmingham. Hi. I can make any of you a star. And instead, every one of you said no, who I asked. Besides the select few who may still be watching this, if you'd like to be a star, I can film you in videos. I can record music for you with you singing or playing guitar or playing drums. And I can make an entire movie with you as the lead star. I know how to do that work. Guess what? See this house? Guess what? This is reality. You want to live here, Danica? You want to live here, Danica? I already believed in my wife being a star. I was there for her for 20 years until she made it. And she has 700 million views. 700 million views with a check mark next to her name. A little blue check mark. That means she is a real celebrity. She's a real celebrity. Not only a star, but a real approved of celebrity or something like that. When you're on YouTube and they have a check mark next to their name, that means it's a real celebrities channel. So I was there for her for 20 years and believed in her to be her best. And for some reason, I've been isolated away from people, suffering alone in this house. I've been suffering alone in this house, making videos of myself, and it feels so selfish and bad. And I don't want to be the only one who's the star of all the videos. And I try to help all of them every day. I text them, I write to them, I write to my dad. I used to try to help him to make a really huge net worth, which was an old thing that I tried to help him with. Now I try to help him with his soul and being okay. And here and there, I might throw in, you want $200 million or something. Hey, you got to $200 million or something like that. Even though he didn't literally get to, well, he might get to $200 million. Okay, maybe next he'll have $200 million. Let's see how big his net worth goes up this year. Did it go up by 10 million this year? I've been believing in him and my mom since I was a child. They've been there for me the whole time. I hope they don't die. And I'm a special kind of person who can help others. I can heal others in some instances, not every instance. Some people might die and there's nothing I can do about it. It's out of my control, but I have God and Jesus, and it's in my control. Some of it's well within my control to help others, to pray for them, to believe in them living longer. I often believe in family living to 120 or 110. The oldest they've lived in my family has been about, 101 or 100. Well, that was when I was a little kid. I didn't help her to live to 101. But Noni, my grandmother, lived to be 100. And of course I believed in her living longer. I went to go see her before she died. And here's another thing that I do. I'm a personal trainer, and I got my kids into strength training and looking good and being actors and being famous, and they have 400 million views. uh, they each, so they have 1.2 billion views between all three of them, Rowan, Ivan, and Ayla. They have 1.2 billion views. Here, I won't show myself because it's selfish to show my face. Okay, you're right. It was selfish to show my face. I knew I was doing something wrong. I did. Okay. Uh, but as a preacher who preaches the gospel of Jesus Christ from the Bible, I'm helping others, and that's what we're supposed to do in our lives. We're supposed to help others. We're supposed to help others. Okay, I'll show my face now. We're supposed to help others by loving others as you would love yourself. And more than somebody like me or others, we're supposed to love God with all we have. We're supposed to love God with all we have. We're supposed to love God with everything and love him more than anyone, because God does all things. If you have a bunch of money, God gave you all of the money. He may have put you to work and given you special abilities at having a bunch of money. He gave you everything good that you had in your life. God gave you all those things. So we're really supposed to love him because God is love. The only good feeling to our soul and love that we've ever felt or known is all from God. God is love. So we're supposed to love God more than anyone. Anything good we ever had is from God. And that's it. We have to learn more about who God is. We have to try to learn more about who God is. Generally by reading the Bible, having faith in God, on how God raises all children. They may not have to read the Bible, but sometimes kids have to read the Bible, and it's up to their mom and dad and God. God raises all children. God raises all children. I'm not pointing a finger at anyone. He raises them all in the ways of the Lord, and their mother and father raised them, and that's how it is. Okay, it's not a lesson. It's not, anything bad. There's nothing bad about it. There's no sin in it. God raises all children. The sin of the earth makes things bad. Sometimes it doesn't feel that great. Sometimes it feels good to a body in a sins of the flesh lustful way. That's not good. That will hurt one's own body if it's fornication. That all comes back to hurt whoever does it, but it might not hurt them that bad. I don't know. But if they die as a fornicator, they'll have their place in the lake of fire. If they try to go to someone else instead of God to get earthly things, like the devil or something like that, then it's called the occult. And those people will burn in the lake of fire for all eternity. They'll burn in hell. And people who act sexy to others, who they're not supposed to, who they're not married to, if they live that way all the time, then they burn in hell. That's who they are. They're called fornicators. And adulterers will be put to death by their own sin, their own adultery. And homosexuals will die from their own adultery. Look back throughout the history of time at everyone who has died for thousands of years, back to Adam and Eve. They all had to die from their own sin. The sin's going to kill whoever lives long enough, unless we live to Judgment Day. And Judgment Day could happen any day now. Today, it could happen any day, and we'll be given new, healthy, young bodies. Excuse me. And instead of these gross bodies that we're in now that are okay, sometimes you might have an okay day and stuff, but it's not as good as what heaven will be with God and Jesus. But hey, it's okay here too. Sometimes it's okay here on this earth. So here's the thing, is that I was hoping to help others. You can drag a horse to water, but you can't get them to drink unless they want to. My friend Chris, who is star of some of my videos, uh, and other stuff, instead of getting to make videos with him every day and funny skits and films every day, he chose some other line of work. He chose a regular job. And instead of me um, uh, getting to play on a stage with him after we rehearsed all summer, we went to the big show. It was a big concert, but hardly any people there outside a mall, and he wouldn't get on the stage. He wouldn't get on the stage, so he didn't really want to do it. But he might do it, but I think it'd be a little bit debaucherous for him. Like he'd get tempted to party and stuff like that. So he has a better life with his wife and kids, and has a really good life and a really good job now. That makes a bunch of money, and God gave him other stuff that's like really good for him. He might also be the star of some of my videos anyway, I'll make sure that we don't party and stuff like that. No fornication or anything like that. I have another friend. I don't know if I should say his name. He was in a bunch of my videos, Corey, and I'm not going to say what his last name is. And I asked him again and again, does he want to be in a really famous band? Would he like to be in a really famous band? And we record the best music we've ever recorded, really good sounding music that's really good, and genius music and our best work in music. And then, and this is a reality, I know how to do that. I'm a good musician, and I may have recorded hundreds of songs. Well, I know I recorded more than 500 songs, maybe 600 songs, and some of them are recorded really professionally in a studio, like recording studio environment, and some of them are recorded live. Which means, in a more simple way, recorded live when somebody played it right in one take or at one time or something like that, at a live show, or in some of my videos, it's considered a live recording. And the other kind of recording is recording it in a studio, a music studio, where there's time to produce the song afterwards and add in cool sound design or effects and edit the sound and engineer the sound and use professional microphones to record all the instruments, stuff like that, and make a really good radio quality sounding song. And some of them are recorded live and they sound really good live. And I can do all of the recording and playing the music and singing and playing guitar, playing drums, to let some other superstar, if they want to be a star. I don't know if they'll get to be a superstar or not. That doesn't take anything. It's work. It's maybe decades of work and dedication, and they have to really want to do it. They have to do it. And there's almost nothing else that they might have to do something else too. They might have to do something else too, but it has to be something special for them that God gave them. It's not for everyone to be a superstar, but you can be a star. You can be a star if it's for you, unless God doesn't want that for you. If you would have ended up fornicating and partying and doing who knows what awful things, then it's not for those people. It's not for those people. It's for people who are really good at their work, like an actor who can do genius work reading the speaking lines and memorizing them and saying them in ways that breathe life into a character that someone wrote, and how the director wants the character portrayed, not literally breathe life into it like God. God's the only one who breathes a life into a human being. God created all of us. You can't recreate a character, but on earth we try to do work. Like some people are a doctor, some people are very whatever job that they have, a mailman, a godly job that we do on earth, a doctor, a teacher, an actor. I think that actors and doctors and teachers have been around since the early biblical days. And a musician has been around since the early biblical days. Those are jobs that are approved of by God. They're talked about in the Bible, and I've researched different jobs to see if they're okay for God to let people do. And musician's okay, actor is okay, doctor is okay, teacher is okay as a job when people grow up. And me and Danica and the kids do films and videos and music and art and creative writing, screenwriting, which is creative writing is the basis for screenwriting. Maybe if someone's good enough to one day, God may have them be a prophet and write holy words of God that, for all we know, could be an addition to I don't know what. And so and I don't know. I don't think there'll ever be another Bible written in our lifetimes, but in heaven there may be really godly writing for God and writing down what God said. And the other work is real estate, working on homes, home repair, building homes. That's godly and good. That's been around since the early biblical days too. They had homes. I don't know if Adam and Eve had them or what, but they had homes eventually because I guess the earth got so kind of weird. They couldn't just live in paradise in a warm climate, eating whatever they felt like from trees that they were supposed to eat. Of course, they only did what they were supposed to. They were without sin back then, and you know they could have had little pieces of meat hanging from a tree that they ate, and it didn't cause an animal to die because in heaven there'll be no more killing of animals. So maybe meat will grow on trees if somebody likes meat, and it won't really be meat. Maybe there'll be no meat in heaven. Maybe there'll be really good plant food, which could be fruit or plants or vegetables or something. Fruit's not really a plant, I know, but I'm not a doctor. That's not something that I want to do. I had never aspired. I don't recall aspiring to be a doctor unless I was very young. Some people think, why would you not want it? Why would you do anything else besides be a doctor? They can't see past themselves. They think it's the best job that anyone would want, and why would you do anything else? But I'd cry if I had to be a doctor, because I'd have to go back to school for 12 years, and I'd end up being or 10 years. I'd be 58. I'd be 58, and it's not really something that I want. I chose being a famous actor and singer and making filmmaking, even if I wasn't famous or not. I'm good at my work as an artist, filmmaker, and stuff like that. And that's the work that I do there. I'm good at, whether or not I'm famous for it, but you kind of have to be famous for it to make enough money at it. So, it's not something in particular. I think like being a doctor is great. I think being a doctor is great, and it's really cool. And there's some kind of a peace in it, in getting to be a doctor, like a security of knowing that you're accepted socially, and they're pretty normal, and they don't really do much bad, and they help others in their job. So I was thinking about how I can help others, and I think the best work I can do is help them to be godly and good, more than being famous or something like that. So helping others to be godly and good. And I think that's it. Helping others to be godly and good. So I help my dad. I write to him often. I try to help him be more godly and good. I find ways that he might be doing something wrong or sinful in some way, and I try to help him. Don't do that. That's really bad or something. And then he stops being that way, and he gets better. And then here and there, I help them in earthly ways too. Well, I help Danica. I help my mom. I help Danica and the kids. I help Danica and the kids, I think, the most. It's been exhaustive being a good father from 1,000 miles away. It's easier for me. It's easy for me to be a father when I'm right there with them. It's the best. It's not hard to do at all. I love being a good husband. I love being a good husband and father. And it's been so difficult from 1,000 miles away, like it must have been difficult, like it was difficult for some people to raise kids and have a family and raise kids. That's how it felt for me, because it was 1,000 miles away from them. But when I'm there with them in real life, it was easy and everything was the best. And we did huge things together, and I believed in them to be their best. And there were never any real problems. Besides, my films and videos hadn't gotten big enough yet. And that caused some difficulty and problems in trying to find ways to make enough money. But eventually Danica started making a bunch of money at videos, and now it went downhill a little bit, and she's making some money, but we're not making really enough to get by. So it's been so much work to try to make enough money. It's been so much work to try to make enough money at the videos, films, and I haven't really made films or, I've made 80 films. I haven't really made, don't think that I'm somebody starting my life at my age. I've made 80 films. I've made 3,000 videos. I have 4,000 hours of, I don't mean to be a jerk about it. I have 4,000 hours of films, videos, and content. I have 4,000. Try to imagine 4,000 feature films, 4,000 hours of films and videos with me as the star of 98% of it, or 90%, as me as the star of 90% of it. Okay, not 98% of it. I'm the star of 4,000 hours of films and videos that I own the rights to, that I had to do all the work to make sure I owned the rights to it. Right now, this shirt, I owned the rights to this image. I hired someone to make this image as a DVD case for one of my movies. I own the rights to it. It's not a big name brand that I don't have the rights to it. It's not on my shirt. And if it was, hey, that's okay for a video. That's okay for a video. That's great. But I wouldn't own it if I made it into a feature film. And some videos are projected vertically, like this video, on a huge screen. It's less likely than the wide 1.85 to 1 kind of videos, or 16:9 videos. This is a vertical video. It's not always how I film long videos like this, but this one time I did. Sometimes I do. I have so many videos that there usually would be that wide stance video. 16:9, they call nowadays. And I've been at this so long that TV used to be 1:4 instead of 16:9. It was 4-1, I think. It was or 3-1, 3-4. I think it was 3-4 or something like that. I don't recall the specific aspect ratio, but the size of the image was different because the TVs looked more like a square shaped back then, and you had to keep things title safe, and all the titles had to go like in this far on one side, and in this far on the other side, and right here, or the television may have cropped the sides of the text and you couldn't read it. And so I often do that so I can distribute all my films and videos on cable television, or I could start my own cable show that could maybe make billions of dollars and stream, and I don't know if they call it streaming, but broadcast my films and videos It sounds like an older person broadcast, but it's real. They still do it today. I could broadcast my films and videos right now, and they're already broadcast on my channel. You can look up thousands of my videos on my channel, thousands of hours of films and videos with me as the star for 90% of them, and 10% of them, other people as the star. And I'm good at filming other people, but some of them, I have to, some of them I don't really get along with a bunch. It's a bunch of work to make all the films and videos for somebody else to be a star. And so I can do that for Danica. And of course I can film Danica and the kids as the stars. And here's the cool thing. I got an idea for how much content I own, the films and videos. I could start a whole video store with thousands of videos in the video store, like one of those video stores from the 90s or 2000s or 80s, and put my face on the front of it. John Birmingham Video, with me as the star of thousands of the videos in the whole store that people can rent or buy, with me as the star of all those feature films. I can design all the artwork for every DVD case and DVD, and put at least an hour-long video or movie, a feature film that I own, a documentary feature film, and thousands of them, with me as a star of every video in the video store, besides 10% of them, like other people on the cover, or some of them, so people don't get too tired of me. But I was trapped in here for 10 years, so I filmed me, and I filmed me. And so I'm hoping to film somebody else instead of me. And I don't want to film some random person. I have Danica and the kids, but she said she wants to stay in Texas, but she might move here. So then I can film them, and it'll go huge, the work we do for God. God will strengthen her and strengthen the kids and strengthen me, and we'll make the best quality videos ever. And I'll be able to make real looking movie theater movies and do it on no budget and a big budget and a smaller budget. And I can work at real estate, and everything will be okay when I get her and the kids. And so this is the thing. If you want to be a movie star, if you like, I'm not mean as crap, I don't care. I have to get along with somebody as a really good friend who I can be myself around, like Al, Al Bob, who got to be the star of the videos. I filmed this other guy, Corey. I'm not going to say if he was the same one I talked about before, but he would not be in a really huge famous band going on tour. He's determined to stay at his job. That's okay. He does big cool things with the movies and stuff like that. But he's the star of videos on my channel with millions of views, and he's a movie producer and does cool stuff like that. But he liked having a regular job that he went to, so he knew he had enough money. And I said, Corey, I know if you quit your job and we go on tour, we'll be able to make it as really super famous musicians. And the incentive to do the work and really go on a tour, to make the music and to get in really good shape and play music and be superstars, the only incentive I needed was for him to agree to be in a really famous band. And he said no. He turned it down, and he chose his regular job instead. And it's okay. He for some reason, it might have been too like a partying lifestyle if he did become really famous. But he chose that, and he might become, who knows, maybe he'll become a mega millionaire or billionaire. Maybe he'll become a billionaire for all I know, but he chose to not be a rock star. It's really sad. And we could, and I asked him, and he said no. Again and again. I asked him dozens of times. I asked him for many years, and he kept saying no. So, he has a life that he likes, that he makes his own movies or whatever and stuff like that, and it's just not a superstar, because he said no when I asked him if he wanted to play in a huge famous rock and roll band or whatever genre, jazz, could be of various other genres. It doesn't have to be rock and roll. Music, genius, really good emotional music that makes people cry and is really good. He said no. Okay, but my wife and kids said yes, and they became stars and really famous. And maybe not superstars, but Danica, maybe a superstar. I don't know, but we're not making enough money about it. Uh, we're not making enough money from our work. So with her, with me, we can do almost anything because I already have God. I already have God. When I separated from her and the kids, I realized God is way more important than a family. And you may not know, or you may know, but your family is not number one unless your family is God and Jesus. And that's reality. You know, I'm not just some guy who has a weird opinion. That's how things really are. Your wife and children are not the number one thing in your life. God is number one, and God could separate you from your wife and children to show you that God is where all the love is really from, and God is. Anyway, I used to think my wife and kids were the best, and I maybe didn't live enough for God, even though I lived for God a bunch. So I had to be separated from my wife and kids. So I'm going to go. Bye. I'm not looking for some young woman to move in or crap like that. Please get that out of here. I'm not one of those creepy guys who advertises for those things. I don't care about it. It means nothing to me. Uh, I'm married. I have a wife and kids. But if somebody else, like a friend, like Al Bob or somebody like that, wants to be a star, I can literally do all the work to make you a star. I know how to make an entire movie right now. I can write the screenplay and make a movie if I'm supposed to, but I'm not supposed to, or maybe I'm supposed to. But I'm supposed to get my wife and kids, and it's really for my wife and kids. You actually have a desire. My wife actually worked really hard at it for 20 years before she started to see results enough to make plenty of money at it. So we both worked at it really hard for 20 something years, and I still haven't earned enough personally besides the work that I did with her on some of our films and videos and stuff like that and I did movies and they got distribution, but it's not big enough. It's not big enough to pay me enough money every month. The work that I did, my work hasn't gotten the audience it deserves, but it might. And so that's not what I care about the most. I don't care. I have plenty right now. I have plenty. What I like is my wife and my children. Uh, don't offer me some superstar thing of being alone. Hey, that's great if it actually happened like this. If I became that famous, a real superstar as famous as Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp or Leonardo DiCaprio with a family, of course, somebody like Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, who has a wife and maybe children, other famous people who have a wife and children, not just those people who are alone or have everybody in their life. They're not alone. What am I talking about? They have their families too, but they might not be married. And there's Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio. How cool would it be to be somebody like that? But you'd want to get married. You'd want to get married if you were me. It would be better than it is now. But if I don't have my wife and kids, who I really want is my wife and kids. I have God, I have Jesus, all my loved ones are alive and well, and I can make pretty much anyone who God puts in my life who wants to be a star, I can do the work to make them a star and put them in videos, and I can be in videos too. If I think I can, if they're the wrong person, they refuse to be to drink the water after I drug them to water to film. They don't want to do it, then I don't want that person here. Get out of here, You just get out of here. They'll never understand. I don't know who it is. You either choose to be a star or you choose to not be a star. It's as simple as that. You have 40 years or 20 years to work at it, or 60 years, however long you're going to live. When you work at it long enough, you'll see results from your work. It's as simple as that. Either choose yes or no if you want to be a star. You can't dilly down, I kind of don't really want to do it. Then that's what the whole thing will be for your whole life or something. Until God makes you do some way more godly and beautiful thing that I'm not aware of, like something that you worked at the whole time that I didn't even know. Just because you're not famous doesn't mean that it's the end of the world for me or whatever. Who cares? Uh, uh, you did something way more godly and good than being famous. It's not for everyone to be famous or be some star. Who cares? For some, they don't want it. But I got a little frustrated trying to help everybody be famous, and they're like, well, they didn't really want to, and they kind of wanted to, but some of them might want to, so I might film them more. Some of them agreed to be in some of my videos, and they got to be kind of famous and stuff that I did in some of my videos. I filmed them, so that's good. And like friends of my dad's, Don Williamson. Don Williamson. He's one of my dad's. He's one of my dad's best friends, and I don't know. And my mom and dad here and there, they say, okay, we'll be in the video. And they got kind of famous. My mom's in the Ronald McDonald video with 4.4 million views. And there are in other videos on my channel. I talked about him a bunch. Maybe they have another 800,000. Maybe they have another 300,000 views. Like Al. Al started videos on my channel. He has about... he has 300,000 views, and he has another 100,000 views on his channel. And he used to be a documentarian, and he was a really good documentarian in the 80s. His dad threw away all his documentaries one time. He left him in the attic at his dad's house, and his dad threw them all away. And he's, you threw away my documentaries. And then he had them all on film or something like that. But his dad must have given him like $200,000 or something to go travel the world or something like that, and then he like destroyed all of his documentaries. He had like 10 years. I don't know why. But his dad was really good, and he took care of his dad well into old age until he got really old, 90 something. His mom lived to be 103. And I have Ayla, and I have Mama. I have Danica. She's Mama. And I have Rowan and Ivan. And I can film them, but Danica has said that I can't be there to film them and put them in videos these days unless I go to Texas right now. I might go for Halloween, but it was too much for me what I went through yesterday. I had like 4 or 5 energy drinks. I had 5 energy drinks, smaller ones, different brand that wasn't too dangerous to drink. That wasn't one of the problems. It didn't hurt my heart, but it had my mind racing so fast. It was like I needed to rest. It was not good. Those energy drinks, if you have more than one, or if you're a child and you have one, they can hospitalize you. They can hospitalize somebody. They're scary. But I haven't had any today, and I might have a little bit of one to get some caffeine, but I don't know. But before that, I had coffee, and now I'm trying to quit caffeine, and then I think I'll get like a bunch of energy on my own once I'm used to not having caffeine. And so here's the thing: is I can make anybody famous if they're supposed to be in my videos. I just film you, make you a star. Hey, this is cool. Hey, I'll look older now. That's my problem. That was my problem. It's not somebody else. Hi, praise Jesus. So I'm going to go. Bye. If you'd like to be famous, in my videos, you can stay downstairs like Al Bob or somebody. He started making me feel anxiety in my own house. So I'm not one of those jerk people who would be mean. Okay, I have to really get along with somebody. They have to be special. God has to put them in my life. And Al liked being in videos, and it made everything way better. I really got along with him. So I'm going to go. And I really liked I really love Danica and the kids. It's really godly whether or not we film. They're my family. And I love my mom and dad, their family, and others. I'm kind to others in our family in Texas and other places. And so I don't know. I'm going to go. Okay, praise God. Praise Jesus. Bye. Unless one of you wants to be a star, you can live downstairs. And this upstairs is where I stay. And you can stay downstairs. Not a woman. I have Danica. So you can stay downstairs and I'll stay upstairs. Here's the downstairs. Well, you've seen it. Look in the videos and you'll see the downstairs of my house. Okay, bye. Praise God. Praise Jesus. I'm going to go. This is John Birmingham. Praise God. Praise Jesus. Okay, bye.